guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an article titled, I'm Single, Childless, and Alone. Feminism has failed me and my generation. And a shout out to Muhammad for sending me this article. And guys, this article is yet another one about a gal, this time from across the pond over in the UK, London in particular, who's in her 50s, and is going on this whole long article whining and complaining how because of the feminist movement, I now got to speak in code, I kid you not, that she, as well as many other of her friends and associates, are now have no husbands, no children, no family, they're alone, boo-hoo, and it's all the feminist movement's fault. Not my fault. No, I can't think for myself. The movement's fault, the bowel movement's fault. And I thought it'd be a good one to go over here, guys, just to show you the state of things nowadays and how you could expect more and more articles like this popping up. Probably TikTok videos of whining and complaining, YouTube things, that type of thing. And usually what's going to be associated with that is I'm alone and it's all men's fault, blah, 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 blah. We can count on that. But this time it's the feminist movement's fault, not her fault. And I'm doing this, aside from the entertainment factor, is to, for a lot of you guys out there that probably have encountered gals like this, maybe in school, they were the annoying ones in school, or in the workplace, coworkers, in your family, or many of you guys in the dating scene, for you relationship guys, that you were never good enough for these types of gals. That no matter what, they thought that they were the most amazing thing since sliced bread. They're so educated, they're advanced degrees, they make so much money, no guy's good enough, and then they're whining and complaining later on in time there's no good men, and they're alone, and it's all feminism's fault. Well, I'm not going to deny that the feminist movement hasn't done its damage, particularly the militant side of that, modern feminism, but at the end of the day, it boils down to your own personal responsibility. And these gals want to blame the feminist movement as opposed to taking accountability for themselves, responsibility. As well as the fact that these are all women that claim to be very, very highly educated, except they can't seem to think for themselves and this is where they are. So I'm going to go through this article, and I'm certainly going to read it and roast it along the way. And then the second part of the story is the comment section. This article came out in May, and there's about 1,400 plus comments on there, the majority from women. And it was very interesting because if you think the women are sympathetic to this woman here writing the article, well, you thought wrong. And all the comments I copied and pasted to read to you are all from women. So it starts off, says here, every Monday, I meet with a group of female friends in a London restaurant. We sit at a table near the window and discuss our lives. I pity the waiter or waitress serving them. We have many things in common. We're all in our mid-50s and highly educated career women, but there's a vacuum in our lives. We are all single and childless. Wow, how interesting. How you all found each other. There must be a lot of you. And why are you single and childless? Because of your own choices. I increasingly feel, as do many of my intimates, that feminism has failed our generation. I grew up with these beliefs. No, strike that. I was force-fed them. There you go. It's not my fault. It's the feminist movement's fault. No, lady, it's your fault. You just said a moment ago you're a highly educated career woman, as are your friends. So I would imagine as a highly educated career woman in your 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s, you could have thought for yourself instead of buying the mumbo jumbo from those angry as fuck militant feminists back in the day, who no doubt got wealthy selling books to people like you, giving speeches where you attended, being interviewed for magazines that they got a cut of. Think about that. Follow the money. By the age of 13, Christmas presents were from my woman's liberal aunt were books from Gloria Steinem and Simone de Beauvoir. I can't fucking pronounce that. Considered the mother of modern feminism. My aunt was one of those militants who had famously disrupted the 1970 Miss World contest. One of those, disrupting the female woman's beauty contest, Miss World, whatever. What does that say? My peers and I watched Mary Poppins idolizing the determined single nanny, never noticed the occasional sadness behind her eyes, and sympathizing the suffragette Mrs. Banks while wondering why she didn't leave her dullard of a husband. Because her husband was a banker. Our heroine was Margaret Thatcher, who, though she would have denied it, was a feminist de facto. In one of those encounters that makes life instructive, I met Lady Thatcher at my late father's house when I was 15. She was our first woman prime minister, and after our introduction, she began to address me on the subject of life. The gist of her address would have been greeted with hosannas by every feminist of the age. In summation, a woman's career superseded by far her relations with the opposite sex. Her own union might well have been to a cipher as opposed to a husband. Indeed, when the Thatchers dined with us, Dennis withdrew to his dining room with the women. She mentions also her father was a politician. At my private school, St. Paul's, where children of Thatcher were similarly educated out of marriage and femininity. One of my unmarried school friends recalls, "My teachers made me feel as if marriage was shameful. My English mistress once teased me for looking at a bridal magazine, but then she was an arch-feminist who demonized men." So, okay, yeah, they were young, and the worst thing is when you have these types that are in a position of influence, like teachers, and okay, fine, they're influencing these young gals, but at the end of the day, I'm sure they said their things to other young gals. They didn't buy into this nonsense. We both recall being told that Paulinas do not cook, they think. This is all very well when you are young and aspire to greatness, but not all girls grew up to be executives or high court judges, something that feminism forgot to tell us. Well, it's basic math. Not everybody, there's only so many top executive positions available and high court judge positions available, so think about this here, right? And what really is the whole pursuing success and purpose? That's masculine energy. So you're having these gals being influenced to be more masculine, and interesting, you've had guys being influenced to be more feminine. How's that worked out nowadays? Historically, the feminist argument had its points. In the old days, when members of my sex were bound first to their fathers and then to their husbands, they led unenviable lives. If a woman had a good education, however, she could make a comfortable living and remain independent of male company. When the desire for marriage and children overwhelmed her, she would almost certainly lose her job. The world has now changed in a way that the early feminists would find incomprehensible. I sometimes think, as do my friends, that the West has outgrown the feminist philosophy and that it has become crazy. Yes, it has. Absolutely. So what she's trying to say is early on, actions were taken to achieve certain things, but things have really gone out of whack. You bet your ass. But still, that doesn't... At the end of the day, this is what she's complaining about. No husband, no family, no kids, all these things I've missed out. Woe is me, as well as her friends. They made those choices. Okay? If you have a bunch of guys on here whining and complaining about things they missed out on because they listened to somebody else, or shit, they listened to me, at the end of the day, hey, they're grown-ass men. They can make their own choices. Where, for instance, does it leave women like us? What does it leave women like us when we have reached our mid-50s and find ourselves alone? One of the chief causes of unhappiness is the feeling that one is unloved, whereas companionship and the feeling of being loved promotes happiness more than anything else. Then why didn't you pursue meaningful relationships instead of kicking butt in your career? Because in her opinion, as well as many others, we were told to. We were brainwashed. 1 in 10 British women in their 50s has never married and lives alone, which is neither pleasant nor healthy. Well, as an animal lover, that means you can adopt some adorable kittens or puppies and give them a home. My friend Sally, a lovely 55-year-old with eyes the color of eau de Nil, once said to me, "I constantly feel unwanted as a woman because feminism taught us that the traditional female was a stereotype invented by men to keep us down. Accordingly, I was anti-men to the point of driving them away. Now I'm paying for this." Yes, you are, and tough shit, honey. Exactly. Look, no guy wants to go on a date with another guy unless they are gay. Okay? Men want to go on a date and be in relationships with feminine women. Problem is, you got the feminist movement impacting so many women out there to be masculine. A lot of guys feel like there's just women that walk around acting like dudes out there. That's unattractive. Okay, so yeah, you were pushing guys away by acting like a freaking dude. There's nothing wrong with being feminine at all. Feminine, not feminist. According to a recent study by an American medical institute, loneliness is the leading cause of depression among middle-aged females. I should know, as I recently fell prey to the unforgiving maw of mental illness. I'm not going to touch that one. Many of my single friends suffer from depression, springing from a solitary existence that would be skewed by a race of alley cats. I knew the cats would come into the picture. Well, I don't like anybody sad and depressed, but again, you brought this on yourselves. But here's the deal. You're in your 50s. Okay, it's not like you're going to have, your prime has waved bye-bye to you a long time ago. And if they're British women, well, a lot of British women look like horses, so the looks have gone bye-bye definitely a long time ago. But still, I'm sure they could find some guy, if they drop the feminist crap, that maybe is older, just to be around, perhaps, but probably that attitude is carried with them their whole lives. They're probably very difficult to be around. Again, boo-hoo, you all brought this on yourselves, and you're not going to get sympathy from guys. Moreover, there are economic factors involved. It is a truism that two incomes are better than one, and many of the unattached women I know work in low to middle paid professions. Hang on here, I thought these were highly educated, successful women that are kicking butt in life, and why are they working in low to middle paid professions? And are you trying to say that now, while the article was all about husbands and children and family, now it's all about income and lifestyle? Is this really about because they can't afford a lifestyle they want? I just got to point that out. A university professor chum bemoans as a single woman, it has become increasingly difficult to pay the bills with no assistance from a partner. For every J.K. Rowling, there are millions of women who get by on a pittance. Again, back to the money thing. Is this what this really is about? Can't pay the bills? Feminism kept drumming into my head that financial independence was the ideal, but in practice, it doesn't happen unless you're managing a hedge fund or able to write best-selling novels. That's a steaming pile of crap. Look, here's the deal. You don't have to be running a hedge fund or be a successful novelist to make good money and build wealth over time. The problem is let's be honest here, we all know it, that by and large, women are bigger spenders than men. They'll piss it away on bullshit. And at the end of the day, people spend money based on their emotions. They'll find an emotional reason to buy this, buy that, and back it up and justify it. And women are more likely to do that. Typically a guy, now don't get me wrong, I know some women that are certainly don't piss away their money on bullshit. They invest it and build wealth. I know some. I had two as clients once, bankers. And I know guys that piss away their money, every penny that comes to them. But by and large, guys are better with money. So if they are all in a bad situation, it's probably because they weren't very smart with their money, even though they had higher earning potential at some point. So that's just silly that you have to be a hedge fund manager to be comfortable on your own. Equally depressing, many single women feel they have failed at life, far from empowering us. Feminism made us insecure. My career has stalled. I've never married. I feel worthless as a person, observes my pretty 53-year-old friend Rachel. Well, again, Rachel brought this on herself. Really, all your success that you chased, that's great and all, but you're miserable. General self-confidence comes more from anything else, from being accustomed to receiving love, particularly from the opposite sex. The woman with a husband and children accepts their affection as a law of nature, but is of great importance to her mental health and success. Yet all the institutions that have come down to us from the past, none is so derailed by feminism as the family. Many women with feminist ideals feel parenthood is a far heavier burden than their grandmothers did, due to the long working hours and the vilification of the housewife. Is any wonder that the birth rate has declined? Exactly. And a lot of countries are crapping their pants because of the low birth rates. Says another member of my Monday group, I was conditioned to have no encumbrances, particularly children, or at least to wait until I was established in my career, but now I'm too old and that boat has sailed. Yeah, another thing that's being sold now, and it's proven to be not working, is that, you gals can chase your careers and you can find a guy later in life. Well, how's that working out? Because the type of guys they want, the successful guys are accomplished, have things going for them, they're probably in their maybe mid-30s on up. They're like, why would I want a chick in their mid-30s or 40s when I can get a chick in her 20s who's feminine, who's not trying to compete with me on every fucking thing? And you get the point. And next thing you know, woe is me. I have to freeze my eggs in my 30s and 40s and no kids. Woe is me. Well, you didn't really look at the big picture. And how many great guys were turned down by these types because, recently, after my depression became debilitating, I had a 20-year-old student living in my home. After a week of acquaintanceship, it dawned on me that the notion of not marrying and giving birth before the age of 30 was anathema to her, and she rejected it completely. In short, she wanted to conduct her life like a woman. She says, yes, I believe women's rights, she ruminated, but I don't believe in the militant feminism my mother grew up with. It went too far out of the mouths of babes. Yes, of course it went too far. Anything militant has gone too far. And those types that are the militant types that are the ones with the big mouths pushing all that back in the day, and some nowadays, are usually angry as fuck, miserable, and they want to bring everybody else down. And I've always questioned the sexuality of those women out there that are the militant feminist types. And at the end of the day, haircuts don't lie. The feminism I was spoon-fed in my youth made the era telling members of my sex to behave and think like men. There you go. Right there. And also, you got men being told to be soft, cry, talk about your feelings, and how's that worked out? The many women I've encountered that said, where are all the real men? Because some of these young guys now are so emotional, so sensitive, so this, so that. It's a big mess. This era was a great one, and women like me are paying for it. The gamblers in a casino that has been fixed. It's time for a cultural reset. I may be too late for me and my friends, but feminism should not be allowed to ruin the lives of future generations as well. Well, there you go. Right there. It's ruining, causing a big mess. Now, again, I got no problem with them saying that, but at the end of the day, she, the woman that wrote this article, and all her friends of her Monday group, her Monday crybaby group in the restaurant, again, I pity the waiter, waitress that deals with them, she said they're all accomplished, highly educated, blah, blah, blah. If they were so highly educated, why couldn't they think for themselves? I don't want to hear this boo-hoo shit, and I don't feel bad for them, because there are countless other ones in varying degrees like that around here who have been a giant pain in the ass in school, in the workplace, in our social circles. Guys have gone out with them, and you know what? Tough shit. Now, if there's anything that future generations should be taught, aside from beware of these types that preach this crap, is also to think for yourselves. How about that one? How about some critical thinking skills? Now, many of you guys here in the USA know that the educational system is just going further and further down the toilet, and the idea of teaching critical thinking skills is got even further down the crapper. I mean, more than ever, you have a younger generation that just immediately overreact to everything, not really sitting down and thinking things through. But that's something the younger generation and all future generations need to do. Really think for themselves, not be so influenced by angry people trying to make a name for themselves. But anyhow, expect more of this in the future, guys. Absolutely. Now, before I wrap this up, as I promised, I'm going to read some comments from some women all throughout the world that have commented on this, and let's just say they're not very sympathetic to this woman and her friends. First woman says here, oh, come on now. As a woman of the same generation, not single, not childless, I had exactly the same influences and was also impressed by the brave women writing and fighting for equal of opportunity. But no one has been able to have it at all, at least not all at the same time. Something has to be compromised, be it career, children, relationship, possessions. It is the same for all of us. Male or female, choices, consequences. Exactly. This whole notion that a woman can do it all. That's good luck with that. And there's nothing wrong with having help from a husband or whatever. Another one. I grew up hearing the same things, but while I absolutely embraced and still champion equal treatment and opportunities for women in the workplace, I never lost sight of the fact that I wanted a family. No one could have convinced me that having children would be such an issue to my well-being. I'm a well-educated professional in the legal field. This author made some life choices that she is now regretting. The choices were hers. Exactly. In her musings, she should also consider that she may have married and been unhappy or found it impossible to have kids. Doesn't make sense to indulge in this kind of self-pity. Amen. Another one from a woman. She says, I've had a few friends just like her, being in the same age group. We took different paths and made different choices, but remain close nonetheless. They too feel like they've missed the boat. When young, we were encouraged to find good jobs and advance through promotions. Where boyfriends were concerned, they seemed to be looking for Mr. Perfect that did not exist or was already taken. Breaking up some kind of lovely, kind men for shallow reasons when they could have made lovely husbands and fathers. You hear that? They were under the illusion that marriage wasn't necessary and children should be thought of much later, near 40. Now their lives revolve around their jobs, cats, but they often speak of loneliness, regrets, and what-ifs. Right there mentioning that there were a lot of guys they encountered, went out with, or could have gone out with, but they weren't interested in them. And then when they finally did, they were like close to 40. Those guys aren't there anymore. They're either taken or they're not interested, or like, you're almost 40, that's not going to happen. So again, boo-hoo. And one more. This woman says here, I was brought up to think similarly and had access to feminist literature. It was only after doing the math in my early 20s did I realize that I would never own a home or on my own, and I needed someone for that purpose. I also realized if I ever wanted a child, I would need someone who could financially support a family. The writer made a choice. She can't blame others for the choice she made. Exactly. Well, she sure as hell trying to put on the feminist movement. And again, I got my issue with the feminist movement, the bowel movement, but particularly the modern feminist movement. But at the end of the day, don't blame them, blame you. But we got a lot of people in this world that take no accountability for their choices and actions. And I like to rub a salt in the wound when I hear them whine and complain. Here comes the sirens again. So anyway, guys, there you go. I thought you guys would find this entertaining. Every once in a while, I like to throw an article out there. And like I said, you're going to see more of these popping up. I mean, I just did one a couple weeks ago that was pretty entertaining, except there was a woman here in the USA who's in her 30s. Now we have one, enough with the sirens. A woman in her 50s here from across the pond. So this is worldwide. You're going to see more of. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.